Hello, my friends. Thanks for coming to play with the ideas that I present on my channel. Today, I'm standing in front of a quilt that was made by my great aunts, and every single stitch in here was hand done. So, can you imagine how much their fingers hurt when they were done? Which is kind of a segue into what we're going to talk about today. And please don't turn this off, but we need to look at the question of suffering. Now, I'm often asked to question of why is there suffering here? Well, one of the most basic answers to that is because of the density of this experience. And it's been given to me that we knew that there would be suffering inherent in coming to this density because we have a physical body that can have pain as a warning system for things that we shouldn't be doing, right? Like me chainsawing with a bad shoulder. Anyway, the other short thing was that suffering is so we can make different choices, like not chainsawing, perhaps. Anyway, but I wanted to dive into suffering a little bit more than that. Clearly, because we're in this density in physical, and we're also immersed in time, so that grief is going to be a part of this experience in life. And it is coming to my attention that it can sometimes be a little hard to die because of the impetus, the strength of the life force. And I want to do a meditation just on that. Like, why is it so hard to get out of a body? Well, not for some of us, we come and go. But the when I died in 2008, it was incredibly painful. And so suffering really is a part of our experience. And so um another thing that came up, which was really kind of bizarre because the meditation wasn't even about this, but they started talking about enslavement. And so I thought, wow, how perfect. Tomorrow's Martin Luther King's birthday. And they did start by talking about slavery in our country. But the people were enslaved physically, to work physically. What could not be enslaved was their heart and their mind. And I think this is what Dr. King knew that. So, before we get too far into enslavement, I just want to point out that the other part of human condition here is that we are very slow to develop. Um, it takes a long time for the human being to mature enough to provide its own food, shelter, energy, that sort of thing. And it's getting harder. I mean, a lot of 20, 30-year-olds are living with their parents, um, or anybody, house sharing, that sort of thing. I mean, things are getting very difficult just in terms of basic survival. They did point out that the original Aboriginal people, say in Australia, or the Native Americans in this country, were able to provide their own shelter, food, sustenance from the land. They knew how to do it. And that was possible at that time. But I want to get back to enslavement first and the aspects of that, because we're very vulnerable for so long in our life. We don't take responsibility very when we're young. It takes us a long time to mature. In fact, I can say that being 71, and I feel pretty mature now, but I wasn't for a very long time. um so we tend to blame instead of taking self-responsibility because we are so vulnerable for our very survival for a very long time. So now let's get back to the idea of enslavement. It is because in our culture, In our world, everybody is enslaved because of overpopulation. We can't provide our food, shelter, housing. We can't provide for ourselves anymore. We just can't do it. And so there are other systems in place which enslave us. And primarily right now, it's what we think of as the need for currency, because that is what our basic survival depends on, is currency. And so, underpaid workers are enslaved by corporations. Um, we are also enslaved by the supply chain. I mean, if you think about it, government, um, uh, the need for now electronics, which they say is the greatest enslavement of humans at this time, is electronics. And that kind of blew me away. So just hang in, because I've got to look at my notes. This meditation was from a lot of different, I mean, this video is from a lot of different meditations. So we're all slaves, watching and waiting for an overseer, somebody to save us. And this happens because of this density and our overpopulation. They say with the increase in population has come an increase in the mechanism for enslavement. So we all are enslaved, surrendering our power to an overseer, whether that is dogma or religion, in the case of particularly like Iran, in our need for currency, and um, again, they pointed out electronics. Now, I've done an experiment where I think about some random thing, and then I'll see advertisements for it. And I know I never said it out loud, because I test this all the time. Like I'll think of like something very random that I don't want, like a Murphy bed, right? And of course, now I said it, so they know I'm talking about Murphy beds. But artificial intelligence, really um, is beginning to freak me out. you know, I'd rather talk to somebody in spirit than have artificial intelligence picking my brain. But I figure they're probably not very interested in my brain. Um, and so we're going to talk more about self-responsibility and how we can be responsible for ourselves, if only in our hearts and our minds and our souls. All right. So thanks for listening. And until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed. Take care.